All right. Welcome everybody to GameChamp, your number one spot for everything esports and gaming related. Today we have a special guest who is a member of the Boise, is it the Boise State? Is that how you say it?
Boise State.
Boise
Yeah,
State D1 College Esports Program. So you guys know
yeah,
me, the host, Jay Stilla. I make videos like this to try to help people understand esports paths, different things that you can
yeah.
do with gaming, so that you can make it either a career or a really fun hobby that can take you more places than you ever thought. So I'll let my guest introduce himself a bit, tell you guys about
Bet.
who he is, what he does, and a little bit about his program.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Chris Haskell. Please just call me Doc. I I'm a professor of video games. Is there a better job title than that? No, professor of video games. I'm a head coach, collegiate esports program at Boise State. We're a varsity program, so we have scholarship athletes. We play a competitive schedule all throughout the year, and yeah, video games, college. That's our thing.
So let's start with like just a little bit about you, right? Like, what's your background? Like, what got you
Well,
into the gaming side of
I'm an
things?
Aquarius. I like long walks on the beach. I want to learn to hang glide. You know what? I've been a teacher. Yeah, I'm about 50 now. I've been a teacher pretty much most of my adult life. I've been at this university for 14 years and studied and taught graduate students, master's and doctoral in game theory, game-based learning, virtual worlds, and esports kind of became part of that world. I did not come to the university to be a head coach and a program director. It just kind of evolved as esports kind of blew up quick.
Okay. Yeah, so like this is definitely a new thing. So how long have you been I guess coaching in the Boise esports?
I'm I'm we just finished my third year, about to start my fourth year as the program head and director. Same amount of time the program.
Nice. 3 years. So yeah, my friend that I interviewed in our last podcast, he was in esports. I think he graduated about 2, 3 years ago. And so he said at the beginning, like his experience might be a little different than today's because it's been growing so fast. Because it was more of like it was still evolving a little bit out of the club part, so there wasn't much structure to it.
Yeah.
So I guess you're perfect to ask about like the structure of the esports scene now. Like, what is it that I guess you guys require out of your players, or what it takes to get in
All
as far
right.
as being a player?
Well, let's do this. Jay Stilla, I'm going to recruit
Hmm.
to come and play for me. Forgive me. I think most college recruiting just naturally evolves into this southern accent because I just see these football coaches sitting in living rooms. Jay Stilla, you are an unbelievable talent, both competitively and on the broadcasting side. And we would love for you to come to Boise State, play for one of our teams, get you to get your degree in whatever you want to study. Uh, Possibly even win a national championship with you. I can't think of anything better than coming to Boise State and Broncos. No, but we do. We recruit players to come and play for any one of our varsity programs or our supported games. I can explain what those are in a second. To study what they're going to study, to get a degree, but to play for their university. And we scholarship the best players in the nation, in the world, to be able to do that.
That's awesome. So that kind of
Yeah.
leads me to another thing, right? Because I also have a website for this. So I posted something if you guys want to check it out on the website, GameChamp.net. It is I made a little short list. I could probably go a little bit more depth in it and edit it, but there's definitely some gaming scholarships out there,
Oh yeah.
especially from the tech companies. But I guess what most people probably won't know, because I'm sure some people are still unaware of all the scholarship opportunities out there for gaming, but also for an esports program, especially from a D1 college standpoint. So, like, is there any
Yeah.
requirements for that kind of scholarship, or is it just
Well,
being a
I
good
mean,
player?
wherever you play, whatever school you go to, you have to meet whatever their academic standards are, right? So
Hmm.
somebody who hasn't finished the high school or equivalent um, isn't eligible to go to college, and then so it's harder for us to. If you're a great player, that's one part of you that we're interested in. But just as big, if not bigger, part of what we're interested in you as a student. It's what you can come and learn and achieve, because every university is altruistic. We want people to come into our university, to be part of our campus family and our culture, to enrich us. We can enrich them, and then they go on and lead and do amazing things, but they're still part of our family. So we want students who are going to be amazing on campus, but also who do something really, really well, competitive. Same type of theory when we're trying to recruit basketball players, football players,
The
volleyball
traditional
players, swimmer.
sports.
Yeah, you're good at the thing that you do, but you're also good enough at the other things that are going to be successful.
Nice. See, that's really interesting for me because I definitely wasn't around. I think when I was graduating, like 2012. So it's definitely cool to see, which is why like it gave me the idea to start something like this, because it's not something I was aware of at the time, and I don't even know if it was even a thing at the time, but it definitely is now, and so it's
Well,
definitely something that's new.
yeah, the first school really to do it was Robert Morris University in Chicago, and Kurt Melcher, their leader, he kind of inspired this movement. They were, like a lot of the early schools in esports, they were a small private college who was all in on student athlete, right? Because student athlete who comes to school is more likely to finish than somebody who just signs up and come. So small colleges were basically sponsoring every sport, because you could offer a scholarship. Tuition was, $15,000 a year, and they would offer a $3,000 scholarship to go and play men's field hockey or Quidditch, right? Whatever the game was.
Mm.
And people would go, I got a Quidditch scholarship. I'm going to Robert Morris. I joke about Robert Morris, but they decided esports, and other schools started to follow. Tiffin, Midland, UCI, which is the best known collegiate sports
Yeah,
programs right now.
I actually
Yeah.
like did a little research because they came up because they built like some sort of esports stadium almost on their
Yeah.
campus, and it has
Yeah.
like
So
50 plus computers in there and stuff.
right, they call it their arena. They're 76. Mark Deppy and Kathy Chong are the ones who really created and built out that program, and they are colleagues, friends, and we aspire to do what they do. We have on our campus about 110 machines in 4 different locations and facilities. We have a full, uh, basically broadcast arena and fan arena with an elevated stage. Our players play on blue turf, blue AstroTurf, Boise,
Yeah.
and we do about anywhere between 300 and 400 hours of live esports content every semester with our own broadcast.
Nice.
Yeah.
So like,
So they inspired all of this, really. The folks who came before us, Utah is another great institution that we pay close attention.
okay.
Wonderful colleagues. But today there are just under 300 colleges and universities in the US and Canada that have official, sometimes they call them varsity, but they are official college programs with leadership, with space, with budgets. 300.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
So like what, like, because I feel like it might just be me, but I feel like it's very unknown, I guess, about this scene. So I guess my next question would be like, how do people, I guess, besides being players, right, get involved in being a part of something like this? Because I feel like it's really fresh, where there's still a lot of need for help or any
Well,
other job.
yeah. Esports was described to me early on as the biggest world you've never heard of,
Yeah.
right? So if you're in, once you recognize that it's there, it's like the Matrix. Feel it all around you, taste it. But until you realize it's there, until you go red pill, right? Red pill, blue pill. I don't know. I can't Morpheus. But until you recognize what it is, you don't see all of it. But as soon as you do, you see how massive. And the difference is, if your viewing patterns are cable TV, Netflix, it's not popping up on your feed. You're not seeing as much, right? You're seeing the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Man in the High. You're seeing those kinds of. So it kind of surprises. And when they hear about, let's say League of Legends, NALCS or League of Legends Worlds, and they learn that there were more viewers for that event than there were for the Super Bowl, they're like, no, that can't be. But the truth is, there's a generation divide. The average football and basketball fan is getting older, right? College football fan, average age is 48. College basketball fan, average age is 54. So, and that number continues to creep, right? They're not replenishing it with lots of young folks because we tend to watch the game that we play. Now, you and I are I mean, you said 28? 26.
26, yeah.
26. So you're old enough to have been kicked out by your family to go play basketball with you,
Yeah.
right? You guys are going to break something here. Get out. So basketball to you is a game that that you've played. There's a whole generation of kids who were pulled back in. No. Don't go out there because you'll get hurt and we don't know who's there and you could get stolen, right? Basically, my generation of parents has been keeping kids in. And so what do we like to watch? We like to watch the games we play. Like the generation before likes to watch the games they play. Baseball, a game that people played. Golf is a game that people play. We like to watch the games we play. Football being the exception, not everybody did that, but it's a great storytelling device. And those are still wonderful things. But we have this generation of people who recognize what's happening in the game and has appreciation for the people who are doing it well and the organization well. And college esports is this blend of people who understand the games and people who love the university. So there are people who cheer for the Boise State Broncos when we take on, say, UCI, who don't know anything about the game, but they know who the Broncos are and they know we're supposed to win. And
it's a competition at the end of the day.
It's tribes, right? We're loyal. We're loyal to our tribe. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Like the Raiders move to Las Vegas, how much of that tribe transfers. But it's the same. Colleges are really, really firm anchors for a huge community.
Yeah, it's definitely, I feel like, a good gateway, right? Because I think it's like 16 or I think 18 is the LCS like age restriction. You have to be at least 18 or something, or 16.
But anybody can play the game. 13
yeah,
to I think download and play the game.
But I think like it's a good thing for people because it is still so young and it's still so, I guess, what's the term? Volatile, in the fact that like it's a lot like pro sports still, where if like you're either gonna make it or you're not, and in order to make it, you have to commit, like especially to go pro. But with the esports, collegiate esports aspect of it, you can still kind of pursue that path at the same time while still trying to play safe and get that education as a like a plan B almost, right? Like especially if pro is what you want to do.
Competition in anything, competition for jobs, computer programmers, or YouTube personalities, competition for any of those things is measured by your commitment, talent, and your creativity with space, and your willingness to continue doing it. There are 10 million YouTube channels with 2 videos on them, right? The first one they're figuring out, and the second one where they're like, okay, I think I know what I want to do, and then they just kind of abandon it. Oh, no one watching. It's the people who committed early. Markiplier is a great example. He's removed most of his old junk. So did PewDiePie. So did a lot of these early folks. They've removed their early stuff because it's not the level that they want. But they worked hard for a long period of time to develop fan base, to develop a voice, to develop a storytelling style, and figure out what was there. Esports is no different. People who are good at these games put a lot of work into becoming good at, but the game is not nearly as important as the skill that you develop in becoming good at it. Universally, anybody who has achieved success in an industry where work and creativity is required has outlearned, outworked, outprepared outstudied every single one of people that they've, right? It's just what really clever, driven people do. And we flesh that out in esports. That's just one way we figure it out. But that's what college itself really does. It gives you to learning.
So since you're in the college space, right? What if
Yeah.
like somebody who I guess is working a regular 9 to 5 was really into games and sees like what you do or what other people in the collegiate esports scene does as far as job wise? How do they start getting involved in something like this? Like if they
Yeah.
like their local
Yeah.
college, or like what are the steps
Yeah.
that they should be taking from your
I always
perspective?
I always describe what I do as the greatest scam I've ever perpetrated, right? I'm games, I sports for a living. Uh, but that's more of a punchline and a misnomer. Uh, but I do, and people who really enjoy what they do feel a little guilty that there's plenty of hard things I have to do, don't like, but I get to enjoy a lot more of the fruits of what I do. But in order to say get into esports, um, you need to not wait for permission from whatever you think the establishment is to start being successful. You need to dive in and do any work that you can get. You do any preparation that you can get. Start learning from people who are doing it, even without asking. The number of broadcasts that I have watched of other people's sports broadcasts, where I've taken page after page after page of notes, um, it was never authorized for them. I just decided I'm going to learn this broadcast. I'm going to figure out what everybody's doing. I'm going to learn the name of the person, some way, somehow, who broadcast that show that I just watched. I wonder who the producer, right? I'm going to find it. And you search and you email and you ask questions. And you watch anybody who'll give you the time of day and say, well, yeah, this is what I'm doing. And a lot of people will. You just learn, learn, learn. So if somebody is interested, they're working a 9 to 5, but they're really interested in learning about esports, start in the area that you're most, even if you don't know where it'll go. Maybe you're really interested in, well, how do observers, the people who actually run the cameras inside the game, how do they do, or picking uh, Valorant or Overwatch? Who does that? Or is that even a job? What are the jobs? And you just start learning about those things. You'll find opportunities that aren't available to you on the surface that you'll discover as you start to. You'll go, oh, well, this person, and they might be looking for somebody. Ping out, hey, any help with you? Could I watch? Could I listen? Could I do it? Help. What could I do? I mean, anything. I mean, I go back to Steven Spielberg all the time. The guy walked on the lot without a job in the early. Now, security being what it is on Universal's lot now, you can't Steven Spielberg it. But in the time, he could. Esports is the same. Right now, you can Spielberg just about in esports just by being a student of it, by being committed to getting involved in it and doing. Never wait for permission. Look for an opportunity to dive in immediately.
That's good advice. You just
Yeah, you
just
never know
call
where
up.
it's going to go. I mean, all of us are a collection of talents that we have developed at different parts of our lives. I like to think about the young men who developed Tespa. Boy, I sound like I called them. But Adam and Tyler Rosen, twins, who created Tespa, which was purchased by Blizzard as a collegiate tournament arm. Well, I asked them in an interview a long time ago, how'd did you guys always do this kind of thing where you organized other people to do things? And they went back to their childhoods like, oh yeah, we got our friends in the neighborhood to bring shovels and we built our own BMX park, right? Just by talking to people. I'm like, that's what I mean. They had a talent for organizing people. They started organizing people to do things they wanted. One time it was a BMX park. The next time it was a collegiate StarCraft. The next time it was an organization that puts on esports competition. And you develop your talents by doing as much with them as not by just fairy tapping you on the head and saying, by the way, now you're good at everything, or you're good at this one thing where no one else is. Everybody who has a talent that we envy or a position that we envy has worked really hard to get.
That's good advice.
That's the secret. Really, the secret is work your tail off.
I mean, I've actually been starting to realize that more and more as I've been digging into stuff like this. Like a lot of the people that we know in prominent like pro esports today, or like even just on Twitch, right? Like if you look back at their work history, I guess, like you see they've been there since like day one. Like a lot of the biggest Twitch streamers on the platform right now have been there since Twitch became a platform, and a lot of like the pro like coaches and stuff have been there since like League of Legends season 1. And like
many of them have, and they started developing those things even without knowing where they'd go. The Rosen again, they didn't build a BMX park so that they could run a collegiate, esports organization. Those two things are not connected, but they are, because if we're putting our talents into any project where they have value, that we feel like we're contributing and learning something, what that becomes is not really up to, me deciding today I want to be, I'll pick it, the oldest broadcast talent on League of Legends, right? There may not be a clear path for that because that's all I can see from this. But if I change that and go, I'm gonna study every, and this is not an of mine, but I'm gonna study every play-by-play person. I'm gonna take detailed notes. I'm gonna try to crack that code of how they do what they do. I'm gonna find even more people and see if those theories hold up. If I just pursue that path, I may find myself in a position that I never dreamed of years down the road, and which is the way most of us find any kind of work. Again, I didn't graduate high school, walk across the stage and say, I'm going to be a college esports coach professor, right? It didn't exist. The job doesn't exist. Most of the jobs that we love the most don't exist before we occupy them. They're just a collection of what we do.
That's good advice. I never looked at it that way, and it's kind of like, because I've been doing like random things here and there, just trying to find something I enjoy, especially since I have really like supportive parents of things that just want me to pursue things that I really love and enjoy.
Yeah.
And so I've always been into gaming, so it's always been something like I started watching like esports back in like the 360 days, Xbox 360, when they had the Xbox Live that they would broadcast like Halo tournaments and stuff.
Yeah.
And so like it's just always intrigued me, like seeing those guys. I'm like, wow, they're competing for money playing games. Like that's so cool. And then now like seeing it grow as I'm getting older, like into something where like people are actually making jobs out of it, businesses, like just so much money. Like you don't even have to be a player. You could just be at home playing games and just show other people you playing games, or record videos of you playing games. It's just become something so big, and it's definitely something that is definitely new to this generation of people. And I think it's very foreign to a lot of people too, because like you still see like I find it funny watching some mainstream news outlets reporting on esports. It's still pretty funny. Like there'd be like a kid there who just won millions of dollars at a Fortnite tournament, and they're still laughing at him like it's not a serious thing. And like it was so sad seeing this one like news anchor. She was talking about how he won millions of dollars, and their gift to him was a ticket to a national park so he can go outside. That was a little degrading, but I was like, it's just so funny that kid probably made more than you make, and you're still degrading him like for what he's doing.
Well, and they don't know. They didn't take the time to ask about his preparation regimen, because most of the time, if you dig into any of these like they're too good to be true, it's because they are, and that his expertise in this game was developed through hours of really, really thoughtful preparation. Not just random, I'm just playing with my friends, nothing going on here. Analysis, testing theories, learning very specific and practicing very specific mechanical skills, working his 90s, rebinding, figuring out how different people bind their keys, a slightly quicker, build combination, practicing specific turns, specific snap aim, stuff like that, because he decoded what it was to be successful in this game, and he worked that success. Same way, an investment banker, figures out what it is to be successful in that space and executes it in ways that other people. It's no different. It's just that the people who criticizing it don't value. Doesn't mean that it doesn't have value. They don't understand.
Yeah, I think the fact that colleges are getting on board with it definitely gives it this air of validity, because
Hey,
it's
look, we want good students. We want good students who do cool things.
yeah, it's
This just happens to
educational.
be a video game.
Yeah, it's definitely, and it's very, like, a lot of the games too are very like mind stressful, I guess. I don't know what the term would be, but mind intensive, I guess. But because there's so much things that they have to process all at once. So you get a lot of people who like video games, but they also do programming and they like computers in general. So it's like it's a transferable skill from, because a lot of these gamers out here, you could talk to anybody. Most of them have built their own PCs. They understand computer hardware. And it's kind of like a byproduct of gaming almost. Like a lot of gamers understand like all the parts in their PC. They understand like the software, the programs, and so it's definitely more than just games, right? Like, because you learn these, I guess, skills that you don't actually see on the surface. That when you take a closer look at, it actually brings a lot more to what you actually learn by doing this. And so,
You want to know the secret? You want to know what makes a good collegiate gamer, a good professional gamer?
what's that?
Believe it or not, what's in their machine has very little to do, and how they understand even how it works. But really good gamers are those who can identify multiple layers of information and think past those layers to what moves or decisions they'll have to. In the same way, good chess players think multiple moves ahead, 10 moves ahead on both sides, and weighing all possible options. Great gamers are doing very, very. Do you know Overwatch very well?
I kept up with the Overwatch League for quite a bit. It started to fall off a bit just because of like political reasons, I feel like, but
Yeah, probably.
but
Well,
it was definitely a
Overwatch
thing.
is a great example. If we've got a main tank, they have to know how to operate their character. Let's just say they're playing Rhine, but they also have to be able to play Orisa and maybe Roadhog in situations. Definitely Sigma, maybe Zarya.
Mm.
They have a role and they've got a very specific role to play. But when they're entering a fight, they're entering with a knowledge of what they have, what they're holding, what their teammates hold, as far as abilities that they've used and haven't used, or abilities that are important to fight. But Overwatch is about winning fights, more fights than the opponent, and fights even more importantly at specific time, and not losing fights where they have more ultimate ability. Right? It's really the core mechanic of Overwatch is the number of fights you win and how you win. And so this player has to be able to identify what the situation, where the clock is, where we want to set up based on the composition we have. That's just one layer of what can I do? Very much like a quarterback. What abilities do I have, and what opportunities am I looking for? A good quarterback will be able to take a snapshot in their brain, tell you all of the things that they were considering. Well, they were in a Tampa 2, so we needed to create separation. Play didn't really give us that, but I also noticed that this player was in communication, so I used the option to put my slot receiver in motion, hoping they wouldn't recognize that. See, the quarterback's understanding the win condition of the other team, right? Which is to basically create a zone that doesn't allow them to really come over the top. But he realizes by a little piece of information he got with a player either out of position or out of focus, that if he moves somebody, they probably wouldn't be able to handle it. They snap the ball. They feel the pressure of the backside, the left side edge rusher getting around. Realize that in order to do that, they have to step up. They're still looking for an option. down the field, and they're looking for a very specific thing. And out of the corner of their eye, they catch the hip movement of the cornerback in the wrong, and they throw it to a spot that they know that their player is going to be because of the practice they've done. They're thinking layers and layers above the moment. You and I may be going, I'm just catch the ball, and now what, right? I'm just worried about catching the ball. But great players, like great football players, great video game players, are thinking about those. My main tank, amazing guy, Guac is his name, but Michael Jenks is the human that plays. He sees things on multiple levels, and he can give his team the information that they want and that they need. Let's play right here. I think that they're holding this ability and this ability, so we need to hold this in case they use this. Definitely play on this side of the point. Let's make sure that this person goes and does that. And as all of that information changes, Zarya no person, they identify a character that no longer has its primary personal defense tool. That one becomes weak, and they push in on that one. It's taking in all this data, preparation, and making action decisions from it. It doesn't matter what the game is. It's that level of thought that makes people really, really good.
Okay, so I kind of want to backtrack a bit to college esports.
Yeah.
More so like, so you said you recruit, right, for the esports program. Is there, do you guys also do application forms, like for someone who maybe wants to be a part of the esports program? Or is it more so like a recruitment thing?
We do tryouts. We do tryouts where we just bring people together and we play. We do offer scholarships. We do about over 100,000 a year now in scholarships to our players. Not every. It's like that's our pool, which is published. So that's not the inside information, but we do over 100,000. So we can scholarship 20 and 30 players, casters, production, because we scholarship some other roles as well. But for people who are really, really high level in the game, right? The higher, the better. It doesn't mean someone can't walk on our, but they first commit to wanting to go to the university. They demonstrate their skill and ability in the game and their communication and their mindset. We try folks out and listen to everything they say in chat, and we try to analyze and find the right people that'll play together really well, like you would basketball team, volleyball team, and then those folks apply to the university if they're not already going to university. We get accepted. We make an award offer, and they play on scholarship. Does that help?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's a normal university process with the intent. I'm going to play this.
So, but also like from my friend that I interviewed from UW, said they used to compete. Their competitions were like, because they didn't really get scholarships for it yet.
Yeah. So UW is a great club program. Trevor Witten is the faculty advisor for that group, and he's a great guy. But they don't have a specific. They have a club and they have a great space up there. They just opened that new lounge. Kevin Hong is a friend of mine who part of that program and graduated and then went to Twitch. They're still in the area and really supports what they do there. But they are still primarily a student club. But we recruit specific squads that play specific games. We play in competitive leagues with other colleges. That's how it.
So for those competitive leagues, is there like a prize at the end? Is it extra scholarship money? Are they competing just for like a cup type thing, like
there are some
traditional sports?
Some tournaments that we don't choose tournaments for that purpose, and it's all dependent. So a couple of years ago, we had 3 players make the live final in LA for the Collegiate Hearthstone. Top 8 teams there. They each got a $3,000 scholarship for that. It's a Mountain West Conference. Play all the Mountain West Conference, which Boise is part of the Mountain West Conference. At the end of that, there's a live final in Vegas where we play the other top team. We've been able be there every year, but play the other top team. And at the end of that, there may be a general scholarship donation and a trophy, right? The trip really is the reward. So sometimes there's prizes associated with, sometimes there's trophies, sometimes hey, you made it to the semifinal. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, that's good to know because so there's different leagues, right? So does UW not compete in the same leagues as you guys since they
Well,
try
it's
to
by
primarily
game.
focus?
So every league is basically by game. So if they play League of Legends, great.
Mhm.
Riot produces CLAW, League of Legends, and they organize all the teams that are playing that in divisions, and UW is in the West. We're in the Mountain, which is our own specific conference category, but that's just that game, just League of Legends. So if we play Overwatch as well, Overwatch may not put us in our own conference, put us in the West, and we UW, or they may put us in the Northwest, or maybe they'll just put us, I don't know, whatever, it will make up a different conference. So it's different by game and by year.
Okay.
Set up a schedule and try to make the best out of that schedule.
So how does a college decide which games they're going to like sponsor and like have teams for?
Well, I can tell you how we decide. Every game that we look at, we ask the question, who are we going to play? Because if we can't play other colleges, it doesn't have a lot of value for us. Practically speaking, if we play UW in a game, our fans are super interested. If we play Slippery Rock, which is a great unit, they're less like, what? Who is, where are they? I mean, it doesn't have much regional relevance.
Mm-hmm.
So we choose games that we know have a competitive collegiate season, both fall and so Rocket League, League of Legends, and Overwatch are our primary varsity. At different times, Heroes of the Storm and Hearthstone were also varsity. We have moved those to what we call supported games, which are games that we make space, provide computer time. We even broadcast some of their matches, but we don't try to coach, organize, or regulate those. They have to be students, but they can play as the university. They're just not bound by the same level of grade checks, attendance checks like we varsity level athletes. And we look for games that are team games primarily, and that have a good competitive structure. So League of Legends, fabulous. Overwatch, fabulous. Rocket League, fabulous. They all have professional sides as well. Fortnite, we don't have as a varsity. We support kids who play it, but I mean, how does Boise State take on UW in Fortnite? Right? You're
just one player.
Yeah, technically one or even two, or if you do,
like what?
quads. There just isn't a easy structure.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Modern Warfare, Warzone stuff.
The
there
battle royale type games.
Yeah, all the BR games kind of create this problem. How do you play a single university? And no one's organizing these big college-only servers. That might be some of that. And the other thing that we look at truly is what's the rating. Because if I get to talk about esports, I don't want the first part of that conversation to be about gun violence, right? So Call of Duty is a great game. It's a wonderful strategy. It's got a lot of great components. It's a good broadcast, but it's rated M. There are a lot of F-bombs, and that's a harder conversation to have. So are we going to recruit players to play that game, and I have to defend why that game is one of our varsity titles? That's
that
game topic. Is not good enough for us to take on those additional.
Okay, well, we're getting close to the end of your time. I know you might be busy for the rest of the day, so I guess I'll end it on. I guess with that topic, we'll just end with a hot topic mixed in with what you're talking about, which is Valorant. Do you see that being in the collegiate scene? It is a, like you said, like a gun game, right? But there is
Yeah.
some cuss words, but I don't think it's that bad. There's just some panicking cuss words when they're defusing the bomb or something. But other than that,
Yeah,
like,
that
because it definitely is gonna be one. Like, it's already had that like uh foundation set right to be a giant game like League of Legends, especially with Riot backing it.
yeah,
So, is
yeah.
it gonna be on your
That's a
guys' radar?
it's a really good question. It is on our radar. We've actually spun off a couple of our Overwatch players to start founding what will be for its first year a supported. It won't be a varsity supported. Um, will scholarship a team captain for that to help organize uh, structure of that and for us to be able to learn more about the game environment, how we tell the story, because we do so much broadcasting. uh, We have to be able to tell the story of the. We need to learn how to do that to get access to that allow us to do that. So it will be a supported game for us, and it might become a varsity game if it meets the standards that I set before. That it is palatable to non-sports, Bronco fans. That it has colleges that we can play. That it has a player base that we can recruit, and fits in the ecosystem of this is a game I can go to college. If if it goes the way of Apex, right, which is again Apex is a great game, still a great game. Not a college esport at this. Who do we play? How do we play? How do we
Mhm.
tell the story? So. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it's gonna be there, like you said, but you guys aren't sure if it's gonna be a varsity sport yet, right?
Well,
Like
yeah,
it's.
we're gonna take a good look at it. I mean, last year we spent quite a bit of time with Rainbow. We built a great squad with Rainbow Six. We broadcasted here a whole bunch of Rainbow Six. We're going to continue to support it in the same way. We're going to let this spin it up and join the collegiate leagues. We need to broadcast it, and support their preparation of it. But I'm not actively recruiting Rainbow Six players right now because it's not established, right?
Mhm.
It there's too many things we don't know about it. And if I'm going to bring you to come to school at Boise State, I've got to be able to give you a 4-year experience. And we trust Rocket League and Overwatch to still be relevant for you.
Oh, okay, that's a good. Oh, so it's also like in the future, kind of you guys think about like if that player
Yeah.
will still be able to be like have a scholarship for a game that still exists by the time they're
Right.
seniors.
We had to. I mean, we did have a varsity Heroes of the. And then Activision Blizzard decided about a year and a half ago that they were going to end support of the esports arm of that game. It's still a game play it, but they were going to stop supporting HTC. They were stop supporting digit play in that game. So we kind of looked around and went, okay, this will be our last. If the publisher is not going to support the sports side of it, then we're not going to. Then we won't find a good player base for it. We won't find a competitive player base. So we and esports will always be like. I don't know if we'll ever rotate out of Overwatch, Rocket, but someday, right?
Mhm.
Conceivably, someday, those will be replaced by another one. But esports is not game dependent.
Yeah.
It's the process, right? It's the
Mhm.
process of preparing and storytelling the game.
Well, I feel like this has been very informative for both me and probably whoever gets to watch this from
Hey,
a
I think they probably
collegiate
get like
standpoint.
at least 2, graduate credits for. Felt like I was hardcore lecturing. I apologize.
I appreciate you taking your time out of the day to be here to talk with me about some college
Of
stuff,
course.
inform me more about the collegiate esports side, and anybody out there who's watching, I appreciate you guys for watching. And if you guys want to go play esports for a college, Boise State seems to be a really good spot to go.
I've heard good things.
Doc Haskell seems to know a lot about the scene and have a lot of connections and understands what it is to be a high level player. So that's definitely a good thing. So, is there anything you want to say before I end this stream
No,
here?
I commend you for your desire to basically point your telescope at dark spots in the sky and try to figure out what's there. A lot of people don't don't reach out like you did and just ask questions. Um, that's how you get good at everything.
I appreciate it.
Try to learn more. I commend you. Good stuff.
I hope I can continue to do stuff like this and hopefully one day find some sort of career out of it. But right now it's just for fun and for educating other people out there about this growing industry.
That's how it starts.
So for everybody out there, thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe if you found any of this useful, because I will be trying to do more interviews with other people, different colleges, different jobs. Like I would also like to interview people that run lights at esports events, like just to see how they do that and how they were able to get that gig. It's just information that isn't as freely out there, but if I can interview people that are doing it, then you'd have some sort of insight. So the more people that watch, the more people that like, the more people that subscribe, the easier it'll be for me to get these kind of interviews and information out to everybody. So I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in our next video. All right, that was really good. I appreciate it.